I have 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the November 19th, 2024 village board meeting to order. Trustee Lenny, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Danny.
President Cronin here. Trustee Michaels.
Here.
Trustee Wright. Trustee Levy. Here. Trustee Barron.
Here.
Trustee Bonnie.
Here.
Trustee Shomas.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum this evening. Nothing under public hearing. Make sure everybody has their mics on. Mine was not, so just make sure you have them on. Nothing under appointments and presentations. Airport report. Tony.
No report.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions that he can bring back? Okay. Hearing none, I will move to public comment on scheduled action items. Under consent agenda this evening, we have item A, approval of the minutes of the November 5th, 2024 board meeting. B, approval of the vouchers. C, approval of the treasurer's report. D, approval of employee performance evaluation forms for 2024. E, a resolution for ComEd LED streetlights. F, a resolution for PSA with engineering services with DEI for the 2025 road program. Item G, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Lane Christensen for well 11. Under general business this evening, we have item A, a resolution for the honorary street sign for Joe Wolf. Item B, a resolution 2024 road program change order number 1. Item C, an ordinance amending village code annual inspection for liquor licenses. And item D, a resolution setting the new home permit fee. That is everything we have on our agenda this evening, scheduled for action. Do we have any public comments for any of those items at this time? Going once? Going twice? 3 times we'll close that section. Up next, consent agenda. Any request to remove an item? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve our consent agenda as previously stated?
As stated.
Thank you.
Second.
I have first out of trustee Shomas, second out of trustee Herron. Roll call, please, Manny.
Trustee Shomas.
Aye.
Trustee Barron.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels.
Here. Aye.
Trustee Levy. Aye. Trustee Bonnie.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 5-0. Up next, under general business, we have item A, resolution for an honorary street sign for Joe Wolf. Brad? You can. No, is it in my packet? All right. Well, Mr. Herron signed it, so. Mr. Herron, do you?
This one? Right here?
Yeah, honestly, this is, yeah, no, the honor of this part. If you want to just go over the qualifications for Mr. Wolf.
Joe was a longtime resident of Sugar Grove. Joe served on the Cleveland School Board from 1978 to 1994. He was elected to the Sugar Grove Village Board in 2003, serving through 2007. Joe also served as resident representative of the Sugar Grove Industrial TIF District Joint Review Board and as the village representative on the Aurora Airport Advisory Board. Joe held many other volunteer roles on local committees over the years, including the annual Sugar Grove Corn Boil. Joe was an active community member in Sugar Grove at the Sugar Grove United Methodist Church and tirelessly gave his time and talents in service to his community. The village of Sugar Grove lost one of its biggest champions when he died April 26, 2023.
This is in front of you this evening. Obviously, we all have different relationships and memories of Joe Wolf. He's very deserving of an honorary street sign. He's done a lot for this community and lived, for 60 years.
1967, I think
62,
you
I
said.
think he bought his home.
Oh, 62.
I think 61 or 62, he bought his home on Snow Street where he did reside until a year before he passed. So certainly a long-time dedicated resident, and anyone from that generation and also can tell stories of the fact that everybody did water meter readings for the village if they lived here at that time. So
Yeah.
just a pleasure to get to know him over the years and thank him for his service, and this is a way for us to honor him. Does anyone have any comments? No?
I enjoyed working and talking with Joe. He always had a great perspective on things, and since he lived here so long, I found him a great resource.
He was, and we lost a good one for sure. Anyone else have anything to add? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item A, the resolution with the honorary street sign for Joe Roll?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
I have the first out of trustee Perrin, second out of trustee Michaels. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Trustee Perrin.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee Lundy. Aye. Trustee Bonnie.
Aye.
Trustee Jonas.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 5-0. And then we will notify the family when the sign
Plan
comes
the
in,
whole,
it will plan.
yeah, we'll plan the whole event and everything like
Okay, thank
that.
you.
It'll
Brad.
probably be, we'll try and do it yet this year, but with the holidays and everything, we'll probably spring.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, up next, Brad. Item B, the resolution for the 24 road program change order.
Yeah, this change order is necessary because we had to do additional quantities of curb, sidewalk, and some patching throughout the program this year, so it's $17,000, $275, or $17,275.75, so it's like 1.2% of the contract, so it's pretty minimal and easily justifiable for the size of the project we have this year.
Yeah, it was a huge road program.
Yes.
Any questions for Brad?
It's in the budget. Part of the finance.
As far as road program is concerned, yeah, there's money in there. Okay. And I believe the original bid was under budget.
That's right.
Yeah, it was. So it's good.
Can I get a motion to approve item B, the resolution for the 2024 road program change order number 1?
As stated.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
First out of trustee Shomas, second out of trustee Perrin. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Thank you.
Trustee Jonas.
Aye.
Trustee Perrin.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee Lundy. Aye. Trustee Bonnie.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Up next, item C, the ordinance amending village code for the annual inspection for liquor licenses. Danny is not here, so Scott's going to take this.
Thank you. This matter was discussed at the last village board meeting. There were some questions about our process and how we work with the fire department on it and about ADA compliance. The inspections do not include ADA compliance, and the fire department also doesn't check for that. ADA that is typically done when renovations are done or updates are done to buildings. That's when the major checks for ADA come in back from like the staff. Also, with the liquor license renewal, that we go through and check. We do when they get a new liquor license, but we also go annually and check those. We don't check other businesses, just the ones with liquor licenses. Just wanted to make sure we noted that. So these inspections by the village are only done if you have a liquor license. And additionally, we polled some surrounding communities, and this is not something that they do as part of the liquor license process. So those are some new information from some of the questions and discussion that we had last time. And we confirm the things that the village does, and it's listed in the memo.
So just to reiterate, what some of the concerns that came out of our discussion last meeting was one valid, I believe it was kind of unanimous with the board, potentially unanimous, where I know trustee Bobby brought it up, I know specifically trustee Shomas, you supported it, which was not having a separate entity doing our inspections for us, having the fire protection do it versus us doing it. But in light of this memo was saying that we're doing something above and beyond because of the folks with the liquor license. And when you look through the items that we're actually inspecting, there's a lot of businesses that are, potentially, have an issue with their outdoor outlets, right? We're not inspecting any other business except for you if you have a liquor license. So this is it's unusual for our village to have an inspection process on this when most villages do not.
I think I would have liked to have seen this with this lead with the last sentence here, that it's not basically a process of having the building official perform liquor license renewal inspections is not common practice, and most communities do not do this. That would have been.
They should have led with that at the last discussion.
Yes.
Agreed.
I don't have a problem with removing this.
Thank you.
Why would we do it in the first place?
I don't want to speculate, I can speculate, but I would speculate that it was a way to control liquor licenses. That's the only thing I can speculate on.
Okay. All right.
still a firm believer if we're issuing a liquor license out by the village, and an inspection is required during this liquor license issuance, which doesn't change the requirement of inspection. This is just saying an inspection is done by a third party. I'm still against it. If we are the ones signing the liquor license, we should be the one inspecting it and not leaving it to somebody else.
This is for reinspection.
That's what we'll,
This is-
inspection or reinspection.
Yeah, but even if you are again, and so Danny's not here, so you guys can follow up on this too, and Sean probably has some experience with it as well. But if you are an existing business, okay, and you have an issue with an outlet, as an example, you haven't done any modifications to your business, we're singling them out to say, you have to fix your outlet, or we're not gonna reissue you a liquor license. It has no bearing on the way they operate their business.
So that we don't issue, we're not issuing a license to other businesses. It is tied directly with the liquor license in itself.
Correct?
Right. So therefore, then why are we doing an inspection at all?
If that's what this, we're trying to say, take this inspection away.
No, the inspection's still happening, the fire department's doing it, is that not correct?
The fire department inspects all businesses annually, and if there are issues, the fire department will work with community development staff to go, if the fire department can't enforce an issue that they find, they will have us go help, go with them to enforce it. And that's true for all businesses, not just the businesses with a liquor license. So we're not looking to replace, we're just looking to have all the businesses be inspected the same way, not liquor licensed businesses different than from other businesses. That's the goal of this, and I apologize if that wasn't correctly or well spoken about at the last meeting.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs, I guess. I just, if we're issuing a license or reissuing a license, and any part of the license has an inspection tied to it, which this does.
But we're looking to take that away, is what we're at, is what staff is putting in front of you, is
So
to
the fire-
remove the inspection process for the annual renewal of a liquor license.
So, okay, so if they fail an inspection,
Correct.
they're still getting a liquor license no matter what.
No, because they wouldn't be inspected. So just
Fire
as it,
department,
So the inspection is still part of the liquor license then. So if they go, if we're not re-signing the liquor license, okay, so we go to a business, the business, we prove this, we go to the business, we don't send one of our own people. It fails their inspection, they're out for a liquor license, what happens?
For a renewal.
For the renewal? Do we renew it, or do we hold it until they fix what the fire department says is wrong?
That's the intent of the current ordinance, is to gain compliance. And I think that the idea was that liquor establishments have a higher degree of vigilance with regard to the maintenance of the property, I think is what the idea was. And the question is do we really want to continue that?
Right. So you're saying if somebody is out of compliance regarding one of these things, GFCI, you're saying that you would like, in the bathrooms aren't working. Whether it be a liquor store has that situation or Jewel, they both hold a liquor license. They go into their bathrooms, both bathrooms are not GFCI certified.
and by they, you're saying the fire department in their annual review.
Correct.
Goes in and finds.
And finds that it's not done. And what you're saying, though, and I just want to make sure I understand, is that we should not issue their liquor license or renew their liquor license until that is fixed.
What I'm saying is, sort of, yes, that's halfway through there. What I'm saying is, if that is the current practice, which it is not, then anything that's tied to that liquor license should be completed by our village staff, not from the fire protection district. My issue, if you want to just say, we're not tying it to the liquor license at all, that I feel a little bit more better with, I suppose, saying that if they fail it, then they fail it, but we're not taking the word of a third-party person, you're still going to get your liquor license, and the fire department will then have to impose the sanctions upon the liquor establishment. It is a tool that the village uses or villages, I should say, use to have an extra teeth in the game, so to speak, when it comes to liquor licensing. And that's why I think it's tied to it now. So if these things aren't completed, we can withhold that liquor license from the liquor license establishment.
We're like the only village that does it. I think that's the point of this. We're like, this doesn't happen.
I think it's done more, I'm pretty sure it's done from, what are some of the villages that?
Sorry, Danny's not here, I didn't do the poll. I would say,
What are they doing for? You're
It's
not.
tied, I'm not gonna, I am unsure.
Okay.
So I believe I know the answer to that, but I'm unsure, so I don't wanna speak. I'm just saying, if we are tying if we go to the Jewel, for instance, and they fail these things, are we holding the liquor license renewal up until they're finished, until it's fixed?
Today?
If this passes?
Oh, no. If it passes, and so what I would say to you is this though, and Danny's not here to answer the question, but what is the failure to comply, what is the penalty to that in general? So if the fire protection goes in, maybe we have to pick this again, because we don't have the answers. But if fire protection goes into any business and cites one of these items, right? What is your window of compliance?
so it's not that the fire department cites them because they don't necessarily have the authority on all these items.
Right.
The fire department does their annual inspection. If they see these, they then contact the building department, and then Chris would go out and check that specifically because the fire department made him aware of the potential issue. That's the way that we've handled it with businesses that don't have liquor licenses, and Chief might be able to weigh into it.
Let me just clarify things, maybe a little now. Liquor licenses, we're usually looking at, this is usually a compliance check through law enforcement in most municipalities. We're looking at asset certification, we're looking at dram shop, and we're looking at signage. And we're also doing compliance checks, setting in individuals to make sure that they're not serving to someone underage. So those usually happen a couple times a year. Those are the teeth that we have to address any violations about the liquor laws that, and we could potentially have them come in front of the liquor commission and lose their license for a certain amount of time. We've been brought in with board, no one's been in violation, but we still do our checks. So, it's just like any other business, if we're using like a conglomerate of Jewel, shutting them down from selling liquor or something that happens in the bakery or something else, I think that's kind of, I think where you guys are heading, it sounds like. So, but usually law enforcement municipalities are responsible for going in and doing compliance checks to make sure that liquor laws are being followed by the state. There's also the state comes in and does compliance checks too.
I mean, one of the items on here is check the outside of the premises for rubbish and garbage. So if there's garbage outside, we're not going to issue a business or liquor license according to this. I mean, I think.
Well, is it that the fire department every year meets every business license, essentially, every commercial business, they go annually to each business and goes through this list
It does an inspection.
and does a regular inspection. I know the office building I work in, we just had, the fire department come through. If they find a violation, then they contact the building department, who then can go in and issue citations or whatever they need to do. So,
But these are building issues, I guess, regardless of whether you're in a retail outlet or you're selling a liquor license.
these are, what the fire department is looking for is essentially, kind of a safety issue. Because the rubbish and garbage, where it doesn't look nice, it becomes a health safety issue if you're creating an environment for vermin to get there, or, a fire hazard or something. So it's going to be inspected just like everything else, and the recourse that the fire department has is to send it to our building department, who can then issue it. I view it kind of similar to health departments. I mean, I don't know if they do it here. When I used to work fast food, it was in a different state. We had a health department inspection every month. And you never knew when they were coming, but they came every month, and, you had a violation, you had to deal with it.
Well, typically those are like 30, 60, 90 days to become compliant, and if you don't, and at that point, if you don't, I think they shut you down. So regardless of, we're issuing we could issue the liquor license and their bathrooms aren't working and they've got life safety issues, like they're getting shut down.
Yeah.
They can still keep their liquor license, but they're not gonna be open to sell anything.
Yeah, because these are building safety issues.
Right. So
I think it's just holding it to a different standard
Correct.
because of the liquor
Yeah.
license versus treating all of our businesses the same and doing the same thing. That's what the difference is.
and the safety things are gonna be checked off, like these are things that will be inspected, just not necessarily needing to be by us.
Because they're already done.
Correct.
Fire protection.
Correct.
Okay, so,
So I guess the difference
One
is just
more.
holding the liquor license to a certain standard, a different standard, is what it was.
okay, just one more thought here. So, just so I'm on the same page here. Okay. So, the fire department goes and inspects a business, and they say, no problem, everything's good to go. We renew their liquor license. Comes to find out that there are problems that the fire department missed for some reason. Are we held at any liability or litigation to having an issue that stems from some of these problems that got inspected by the fire department, and then we renew the liquor license without actually doing our own due diligence because there was no reporting back to our department to go do that check? They're saying everything's good. We're just trusting the fire department that they did it and everything's fine as we sign that renewal for that liquor license?
Well, the immunities are pretty specific with regard to a violation and the village's failure to attend to it. So there's immunities. I wouldn't think that this discussion would really turn on whether or not there was liability. One of the things that you have, I think the reason that this is different is a liquor license has a great deal of discretionary association with it. Whether or not you're going to grant one is part of the whole issue. No one is entitled to it. With regard to all of the other businesses, if they are properly zoned, they are entitled to do certain things. So I think, and I did not participate in the creation of this ordinance, but where you would have the right or the authority or purpose of putting this in this document is to say, we have a property whose owner wants to sell liquor or wants to have a tavern or a liquor store. One of the things that we are going to do in making that determination is to see whether or not this facility appears to us to be appropriately maintained for that purpose. Is it necessary? That's up to you to decide, but that's why it's different, because you don't have, everybody who owns property are vested with certain rights with regard to its zoning. A person who is applying for a liquor license does not have any vested rights until that license is granted. So that's where your discretion is involved. And if you want to retain that discretion to say, hey, we don't want to have any dirt floored bars in our town, that's one of the reasons you can, ostensibly deny a liquor license.
But they can be approved or denied on an annual basis anyway.
Exactly.
So if there were
Exactly.
complaints about a business, we would hear about them, and we have to renew those licenses annually. When we decide how many liquor licenses we have per class, and like you said, it's not a right, it's a privilege to have one in our village.
But once you have the ordinance, you have to treat all applicants the same. Okay, so that you can't use it to discriminate against someone. So that's where the administration of this is. So if you're using this, you have to administer it. You have to administer it evenly among all applicants.
So it's not, and this is just for my clarity as well, make sure I'm saying this correctly. We're not having the fire department do it for us as some requirement from the state. We are just choosing to do this on our own as additional condition to give a liquor license, which we do not have to do if we don't want to.
That's correct.
And they're already doing it.
And they
for
inspect
life-
every business.
They inspect every business for life safety concerns on an annual basis.
And removing this would not prohibit you from doing an inspection to determine if it meets your, otherwise meets your building codes. But you wouldn't be able to do that in a discriminatory way where you're inspecting a property 20 times when no one else is being inspected more than once or at all.
And I think the other thing that the reason they're bringing this back to is because we currently aren't doing this inspection. Right? This is being done for all businesses and done the same way for all businesses, but this particular one is called out differently. And then, so when you brought up the point of, well, if we're inspecting a business, held to our liquor license, we should be doing that inspection. I agree with you, that's not the practice, that's not how it's been going. So because this is inspecting every business the same, we are doing that, but we're holding the liquor license kind of hostage under these parameters.
And we can, when it comes up to renew, we have to have evidence of why we might not want to renew it, or can it just be we've had complaints or something? Do we have to?
Well,
I mean, we can't just say we don't like you, we're not going to renew you, but do we have to have a?
You have to have a reason, you have to have a reason for denying, you have to have a
Right.
reason, a legitimate reason for closing or withdrawing or withholding a liquor license. And the applicants, or the holders of that liquor license have a right to a hearing. Okay, and the statute talks about what the items within what are relevant with regard to the issues in a hearing would be, okay? Have they exercised the danger to the community, for instance? So they would be entitled to a hearing, and in this regard, they would probably say something that could be corrected in a day should not be a reason for the withdrawal or the denial of the liquor permit. So,
The fact of the matter is, I would think most of the issues historically have been brought to the village's attention by someone patronizing a business and bringing up a topic. Hypothetically, I pressed the GFCI outlet in the back and it didn't work, right? Phone call comes in, someone goes out and inspects it, whether or not that business holds a liquor license. And it's gonna run through the process, either you have to fix it or we're gonna impose some sort of fine. If they're gonna fight back and not do it, eventually someone's putting a chain on the front door. Right, I mean, it wouldn't, and that's independent of there being a liquor license or not. Right, so it's gonna start from there. I would think, and I don't know if we have anybody here that would be answering any of those phone calls from any of those places where it would have come in. And maybe depending on what the complaints are, we may refer it to the fire department. Right, but there's a separate adjudication process for that. I guess that's what I'm saying. There's a separate process for finding, for going after the business and code enforcement and that sort of stuff.
there's a whole separate code enforcement process that applies to all business, whether or not they hold a liquor license. And the various, and the consequences of not having it go anywhere from a fine, and if it's found to be dangerous, to board up. You can board up. There's provisions in the statute that call for that. So we have an awful lot of enforcement tools, and one of them is judgment. And if the fines can be converted to a judgment, the judgments aren't followed and they're not complied with, there's contempt provisions, and so people can end up in jail as well. So there's a whole panoply of enforcement tools that you have that are dependent upon the building codes and the life safety codes that are already in place and apply to all businesses. So keeping this in or taking it out would not affect your ability to gain enforcement for matters that are
Makes sense. For you, looking like you still got a real quick on your side.
I'm my decision.
I'll make a motion to,
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance amending the village code for annual inspections for liquor license.
I have a motion on the floor, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee, I have first on trustee Michael, second on trustee Karen. Roll call, please.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Karen?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
No,
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Up next, resolution setting a new home permit fee. Scott.
This was, again, discussed at the last village board meeting. We've had inquiries from builders about our potential annexations and from including Lennar as to what our building permit fee is. We typically have passed in the past a ordinance setting the maximum fee. That is, this is not changing the maximum fee. This is just detailing out what more of where the impacts go and setting those numbers. So we can pass those, staff can pass those along when inquiries come in from potential builders or that aren't in an existing annexation agreement that may be wishing to come in, such as Lennar or other opportunities that might come along. Staff wanted clear direction on what numbers to give. We also, to mention, had a school district land cash number in before generically, but that typically is decided on an annexation by annexation basis, because if they choose to give land, they would have a different land cash number than one that did not. So that's why that is omitted from this. It's not intended to discount it, it's just that there's a separate ordinance that goes into the land cash.
You might not be able to answer this question because it's probably a Matt question, but I know that Hannaford Farm has an active annexation agreement. I think that's the only subdivision that has one, and their fees are detailed out, and one of them is actually like a recapture on legal, is my memory serves me correctly. So really, no one's gonna hit the 17,850 potentially except for Hannaford Farms. And if you were to get to that number, taking this permit fee and increasing the size of your home based on the 31 cents per foot, the only way to get to the cap is to build an 8,119 square foot house. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that's how you're going to get to the cap. So the only one that's at the cap, even though we're listing this max of, is Hannaford Farm. And Hannaford Farm, per the annexation agreement, has a $500 escalation in it. And I don't know if it's an annual, I think it's an annual escalation for its 4th amendment to the annexation agreement. And they are being brought down to our cap now of 17,850, even though they have an active annexation agreement, because the annexation agreement allows, the way the language is written, it's not that we're forced to apply that 500 escalation. So even to make them more fairly competitive, they're going to cap out at 17,850. Just so the board is aware, everyone else should be in this 15,333 unless they're building more than a 3,600 square foot house, and then it's 31 cents a foot.
It's really going to be dictated by the size of the house. Yes, they're going to be lower. Sutlers Ridge is under an active annexation. It was redone and extended, but I believe the timing on the fees that were established in there may have expired and use the current fee, but I'd have to double check that to be certain.
When did they amend their annexation agreement? Because I thought it expired.
Sutlers Ridge? No, we believe it was extended. I'm trying.
I'm pretty sure it's expired, but that's just, okay.
All
right.
I'll find out in an email.
All right, it's okay. It's all right, but the point being is, developers are talking about other municipal, and you can certainly speak to this.
How do we compare to other municipalities? I heard that staff contacted North Aurora, and we haven't seen any comparison to North Aurora, Batavia, Yorkville, Oswego. So I'd like to know how our fee would compare to those communities. I think it's, based on what I'm seeing, this could be on the low side. you know, we need money for capital improvements, you know, the police department addition, things like that, so.
I know they did a survey, Matt's not here, so if you don't feel comfortable voting on it, we can move it to our next meeting. But I can tell you, you're building actively in North Ward right now, so can you give us an example of your last permit fee?
Not off the top of my head, but it's roughly $20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and so is Yorkville. Oswego is maybe 17,000, so. So, yeah, I think we ought to see how we can compare. There's no sense of leaving money on the table. If other communities are charging the same fees and we have capital needs, I don't think we're putting enough money away.
I would like to see a comparison as well.
Yeah? Do you have that in front of you? I think we're looking at a table.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have a good comparison to pull up and have tonight and be able to distribute confidently because some have different everybody's fees seem to be different. Some have name it one thing, some name it the other. I wouldn't feel confident doing that on the fly during the meeting. I would want to go back with Matt and get an apples to apples comparison to present and bring forward to the board. Some have to call water tap on, some call it a certain capital, and they have different names for a lot of how they do it. It's not a
standard at 31 cents a square foot.
That is very common as far as the building permit itself, but when it comes to impacts and other fees, that's when it starts to vary greatly. And what they've added and what they've changed, so I would need to bring that back before I can give out some comments.
Really, it's the top line number that is probably the most important.
And I would tell
Right,
you.
because there's different needs in different communities for the local school districts and roads and that sort of stuff. But per Trustee Michael's comments, I think, you know, the top line number, what's going to the builder per house, I think is what's important for them. And I'm not saying we need to be 110% of what the most expensive one is, but getting an idea, and I think that can help us make a statement to the development community if we're 75%, acknowledging we may leave some on the table if we're trying to promote growth by actively saying, look, we're going to be cheaper, right? So that's one way of looking at it. And at the other end, if we want to slow growth down a little bit, that's the other way to do it too.
And I think the other thing, remember, this conversation really stemmed from trying to make the village itself more competitive with an agreement that was reached on the Crown property.
Well, correct, but I like the transparency of this, right? So I can appreciate where the request is coming from the development community to get an idea of, you know, what these fees are. And, you know, I've always been a fan of setting a baseline standard, making sure it's consistent. And I think being transparent in this stuff is appropriate. But if the top line number doesn't make sense with what the rest of the market is doing, then, or maybe it does, I don't know. Let's get a better understanding of that. But I appreciate the need to have this nailed down. If we're going to be talking to a handful of developers that are coming in, they need to understand their cost basis.
Happy to bring back the numbers and all that. What we were trying to define wasn't necessarily related to the top line number, although we can bring back that ordinance. This was just to define the numbers inside of the 17,850 that was previously approved by the board. That's what the intent of this was to do. So, because when they ask us now, we say, well, our top line number is 17,850, and then we've traditionally, in the last few years, kind of backed into that. But now that we're having bigger, like we're actively negotiating with Lennar, we wanted to be able to line out numbers, get direction to say, here's the numbers to use as a starting point for that, as far as impact for school, impact for fire, impact for library, and to have those numbers lined up inside of the 17,850.
Does that adjust? Why would a developer want to know that? So I know it sounds like I'm talking out of both ends of my mouth. Does it have to do with the way that they're handling their costs internally, as far as how the different taxes and withholdings may be on other items there? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, they need to know what their square footage of land is cost, what their development costs are, and what their profitability will be on a house based upon what they call the soft costs, which are the permit fees and so forth, which are going to be on top. So that's a cost that they calculate as to what is the actual unit per unit profitability going to be on each
Sure,
each
sure.
lot that we have, so.
But
so yes, you're correct.
and again, I think it's important for the taxpayers and the community to understand where these things are going. But why would a builder care that $5,000 is going to roads and,
Oh.
you know what I mean?
Oh, that's-
And $1,200 is going to a school.
Yeah, they're only concerned about what's the total tab.
Okay.
What's the total tab? Now, they might have some concern to say, if they're altruistic enough to say, yeah, we would want to contribute to good schools and good, good fire departments, but I don't think it goes.
The schools will gladly accept a check.
Exactly.
I think
So,
that's the other
but I
thing too,
don't-
that this spells out, that we have ordinances that have, obviously, there's land cash and parks money but there's also, we have improved these impact fees previously.
Okay.
And what this does is now say, and solidify it within the building permit fee, because it was done by annexation agreement. So what you might have for an impact fee in Settlers Ridge is different than what Hannaford had in their building permit fee. And so that's what we're trying to do village-wide, is to say, whether you're building in Hannaford, well, they have an annexation agreement. If you're building in Lennar or you're building a new Ryan home, that you're gonna pay the same fees and your impacts are gonna be the same, not it got negotiated in your annexation agreement and your impact to the school is less than Lennar's impact to the school, because all you're doing is shifting dollars. So what this does is do exactly that. I can tell you, there is an annexation agreement, or at least it was in the fee schedule, that the school district, as an example, had a $650 fee, okay, impact fee. It's doubled in here, it's $1,220. So it's,
So I pulled up Matt's memo from last time, which detailed out, some of the fees are included in our currently, and some are not. Like, as an example, our road impact fee, the village road impact fee is not current in the current ordinance or currently codified as part of budget or anything, but we do always charge it. So we wanted to, this is memorializing a number that we can give to somebody today.
Okay.
Again, if you want to come back and we can bring extra numbers next time, happy to do it. I just wanted to clarify what the focus was to get those numbers inside the 17,850 broken down.
So, if I understand this right, this is just basically making it very simple and saying, hey, this is what it is for everybody who's gonna be coming on, that doesn't have the annexation agreement. From now on, this is what it is.
and just for clarification purposes, this also gets renewed annually.
So it
This
can
number
be-
gets
it
brought
says-
back
So it can be
before
changed annually. Yep, I like it. I like for somebody who looks up codes and zoning and all that for different municipalities, when you can have something simple and straightforward. I mean, I'm not a builder, but I look through the codes, and when having to go back and forth, this document, that document, and trying to figure it out, and having to call someone, if you can find something simple, it makes your decision a lot easier, and you're not like, oh, I like working with this village.
And for staff purposes, I will tell you that the one thing that Matt has built for community development, so there's less human error, is that you're literally putting in under the permit fee the square foot of the property, and it's calculating this so that Holly, for example, who's issuing those permits, isn't juggling between all these documents, trying to build the permit based on, the location of that lot. We have a kind of uniform form.
So if we've already approved the top line number, right, you had made mention that we had approved that. When are we up to renew that?
That is discussed yearly with budget.
So at budget time, we can say, okay, we need to rethink.
And just so you know, too, the other thing too is, so when, even if we approve this, Lennar is gonna go through that process. The staff is trying to give a recommendation to us, based on the research they've done, and also simplifying the process to communicate that to Lennar. Now, Lennar still has to go through, they're the only ones, because Ryan Homes is already, done, although you're telling
So,
me.
Brian, so to clarify about Settlers Ridge is under an annexation agreement until 2037. But the part of the annexation agreement that governed the fees expired on January 1st, 2024. So now Settlers Ridge they would fall under what is approved here today and our cap of 17,850.
Okay.
Previously, they had a number that was in their annexation agreement, but that had a different expiration and was not continued when the annexation agreement was re-upped, I believe in 2017.
And also for the record, I believe, and if you have it in front of you, that Settlers Ridge permit fee was under 10,000. So that, their fees have terminated, as of, you just said January, correct?
January 1, 2024.
Of this year. And that would make their fees actually go up for all the new Ryan homes
Okay.
when they issue permits. So you're capturing more, and you're also spreading out your impact fees. Fire, for example, I think had a $100 impact fee somewhere, they're up around
122.
122, they're at 400. So there's more money going out to the other taxing bodies, which has been a complaint of theirs over the years, that we're not consistent in our development and having impact fees, and that's what this does as well.
But to Trustee Michael's comment there regarding other villages, other municipalities, that doesn't, it sounds like that's not necessarily into play here. It's good for the board to know when we're looking at budgets for next year to say, look, we're way out of whack on this. We need to adjust it. And then therefore the numbers that break things out could then be modified to meet some new number, higher or lower as the case may be.
I would say yes and no. Some communities may give more to schools, some may give less. Some communities may give more to like a water capital, some may give more to, the parks, for example. That how they spread out those impacts inside their top line number is going to be different from what we're doing as well. So there could be some insight about how we spread the numbers around from other communities as well, as if you'd like to have that information.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind that Montgomery, Yorkville, Oswego, they're all connected, right? They're all connected to Michigan Water. So they're gonna have a water impact fee. I know they're doing it through a sales tax as well, because there's a business down there that's complaining about a new tax that's hitting restaurants and stuff like that, because they have to build that water capital fund, right? So, not to your point early on, not every community is the same. And we can certainly do comparisons and look, and I know we have, and we do that with a lot of different things. But we are also, what are our concerns, and what do we have, what are our other taxing bodies that we support? What are they looking at, or looking for support through our village, and what we can do to support them through our permit fee structure. So right now, unless I'm wrong, Settlers Ridge would be paying $17,850 as a cap. Ryan is paying $17,850. So the flip side of all of that is, everybody goes through this annexation agreement negotiation. It's happened forever, right? So Ryan wants to go through, or Lennar wants to go through this process and say, well, listen, this is where we need to be. They're gonna say this is where other communities are, and we're gonna validate that, but they're gonna negotiate that as they come through. Well, we don't want Ryan or Lennar to say, okay, well, we're at, they say they negotiate to the 15,333, and now you've got Ryan Homes paying the cap fee of $17,850. So in the other component of Sugar Grove is Ryan Home, or Crown, has a permit fee structure that's less than. So making our whole village competitive without leaving any money on the table is, but I know Trustee Michaels has brought it up too, is creating consistency and fairness among the village as permit fee structure is concerned. So we don't want to create these large gaps.
So it sounds like the question right now on this issue is, number one, do we as a board feel we need that additional information in order to make our decision on this tonight? And then exactly what additional information that is that we're gonna ask staff to go and get. Is it just the top line number, or is it the entirety of the breakdown, as much as they're able to provide for us? Because my guess is that it's gonna take a whole lot of hunting to get all the line items that they're gonna build into that.
I'm sure
is
they
that what's
already
being?
have it. He just doesn't have it. I'm
Okay.
sure Matt already has.
We have looked fairly recently. I just don't have, like I said, I don't have to be able to pull it up to be confident to be able to.
When I talked to North Roar, they said that they had sent information to our staff.
Okay, so it probably would be.
Yeah, well, it wasn't-
Let's
Sure,
gather
I
that
thought it was
information, have
shared.
it in front of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just ask this. If it's fine, I'd like, just for certainty's sake, I'd like Matt to be here. Is he here on the 3rd?
Should be.
He's here on the 3rd. Can I get someone to make a motion to postpone until December 3rd?
As stated.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I'm going to go with it. First on Shomas, Trustee Shomas, and a second on Trustee Lindy. Roll call, please.
Trustee Shomers.
Aye.
Trustee Lindy. Aye. Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee Aaron.
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie.
Uh,
Thank you, motion carries. 5-0. Okay, up next, we have public comment for any and all items, but then additionally, the board will be discussing, under discussion items, we'll be discussing A, a franchise agreement with Comcast, B, a franchise settlement agreement with MetroNet, and item C, a commercial property enhancement program at 214 South Main Street. So if there are any public comments at this time, feel free to come to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes. Lou?
Lou Lendy. I just have a couple of questions that I'm hoping you guys will take up as you discuss the Comcast and MetroNet stuff. First question is just clarification on how much existing infrastructure Comcast would be using and how much they would need to build out. Are we looking at, new pedestals every so many houses if we're putting things in and going through a similar process like we did with MetroNet a few years ago? Or are they able to reuse some of that infrastructure that might already be in place? And second, it's just kind of something we probably should do is as we're talking about these things, get some clarity on what the existing agreement is with Mediacom. No Mediacom, because that's cable in our area. And so it'd be interesting to see with Comcast, MetroNet, and Mediacom how those agreements are the same and how they're different. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further questions or comments? Going once? Going twice? 3 times we'll close that session. Up next, we have a franchise agreement with Comcast. Scott.
Thank you. So a few years ago, Comcast came to the village and did a build out for business service. And in light of some of our growth and the success of that build out for business, they have approached us about coming to build out residential service. And it does include a franchise agreement with the 5% fee, which is commonplace. And the good thing about recently having negotiated an agreement is that we have the one for business that we can look at and draw from when we're working on the agreement for the residential use. But Kate Page is here from Comcast if you have questions for her or myself. And staff is just looking for direction on moving forward with this. And then we'll continue negotiating the agreement, send it for legal review with the village attorney, and bring it back at a later meeting date. They're asking for a 10-year agreement with options for renewal after that.
And I'm just going to feel kind of along the same lines that maybe just forward the board the actual agreement, MetroNet agreement. I wasn't here when that was created. I know Trustee Michaels was, but just as a refresher. And then a refresher also on our existing business agreement with Comcast. And I know that was negotiated with Elbert at the same time. It was kind of done in tandem for the business component. So.
I don't think I really need to see the franchise agreement. I appreciate staff's comments on what changes between Comcast and MetroNet, and Mediacom. We probably have one for AT&T because they had like Project Lightspeed in Hannaford. So I think,
And unfortunately, not everybody in Hannaford has AT&T. So
I
it's kind of,
And I don't know if AT&T does cable or if they only do internet, but we can double check that.
But yeah, I don't know if we have a standard franchise agreement, but I'd say go from there and identify what changes between Comcast and others.
okay, so obviously the franchise fee is consistent between the 2 board reports of the 5%. So MetroNet was paying 5% and Comcast is looking to pay 5% as well.
That's pretty common industry-wide for cable franchise fee.
And I know that there's definitely, so do you mind coming to the podium? I'm sorry. So, because I did ask that question of staff as well, so the infrastructure that's in the ground today, that's MetroNet's, is it owned by MetroNet? And so you would have to do your own infrastructure?
Absolutely. Kay Page with Comcast. So because we came in, we call it a hybrid build, but we came in 2 years ago and we thank you for that approval to serve businesses. Some of it's already here. So for instance, if we were to come down, I'm terrible, but I think 47, it's there already. So then it becomes branching off what's there. We have a 99.9% reliability rating that was given to us by an outside source. We don't use other people's equipment because we don't know their reliability rating. So it would be, to answer your question, a fresh build. In the areas that we don't currently serve, what we would be branching off what's already there in the system and in the ground. In terms of comparison of agreements, I think between MetroNet and ours, many years ago, long before my time in cable, about 2009, the Metro Mayor's Caucus met with all of the providers and they negotiated a standard agreement. We call it the model agreement. When MetroNet came to the area, they modeled it off of that exact same document. My understanding is the only difference was the build-out requirement. So I believe ours is, we build out the full community, but if it's a new, let's say you're getting a new area, I believe ours is 25 houses per so many cubic square feet. They actually lessened it. So they had less of a requirement, where we had more of a requirement, meaning we're more likely to serve.
Okay, so thank you for bringing that point up, because we do have, it's very frustrating that the neighborhood I live in has been under development for 20 plus years now, and MetroNet just serviced them last year. So the folks that are, obviously they're still there to provide internet access, but now going away from TV, as we'll see in the next board report, those folks no longer have that as an option. So they did not serve that neighborhood because of the space, because of the size of the lots. There were two. Ours, and if you know the neighborhood, the community at all, Stratford Woods was the other one that was added when we were added. We were in Hannaford. So they were two neighborhoods while the rest of the community was up and running. They were the last two that just got it, and now it's no longer going to be an option. So I guess that's the very first question I would have is what is the plan for Comcast to serve all residents within our village?
Our build-outs normally take 2 years. You all have a lot of new residential, assuming that it continues to progress within that 2 years. It is our plan to work it, but let's say a new development doesn't go up for 3 years. It would just take us a little longer. We'd get there, but when the hole is when the trench is in the ground, that's when we want to be right there with them. We don't want to tear up someone's brand new lawn. So communities like for instance, Settlers Ridge, I believe it's called, came up. We want to serve what's there. We want to serve what's coming. Communities or developments that currently exist, it's part of our plan.
So so it's part of your plan, but it sounds like you're ready to go with the raw dirt first, and then backtrack to the existing? No. Okay.
Not really my wheelhouse. But construction-wise, they're looking for the route. So assuming, let me get a sense of direction. I'm assuming we'd pull from Oswego or Yorkville in that general direction. So depending, weather always plays a role. We light up as we go, but it really, what comes first, everything's gonna be done in the 2 years. What comes first is the route they take. I could be wrong, they could be coming from Elbert. But that controls it more than anything else. What we're also seeking is, with the franchise agreement, we have permission to do walkout and design at that point. So they can really see, okay, if we're coming from, let's say, Yorkville, is that aerial? Are those good poles? Do we need a new pole attachment agreement? But until we have your permission, we can't take the next steps. But order is determined by direction.
Okay. Any additional questions out of the board?
I'm in favor of moving forward with the franchise agreement. I think competition is good for the residents, so it's just trying to get it as similar as the other ones and move forward.
I agree with that.
So, with existing subdivisions, would need to dig in and put your own equipment in?
Yes.
So we have to, okay.
Live through it again, yeah. But they're really just ground boxes that they're doing.
When MetroNet came through, it seemed to me it was barely disruptive. I don't know, they had little moles running underneath the ground. You know, there was virtually nothing that, I recognized as a homeowner. I could remember this.
Generally done with horizontal boring.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And we only work a certain number of feet. So work 1,000 feet. As soon as that 1,000 feet is done, immediately our restoration comes in. So it's not like we have to get the whole town done before we come back and restore. It's a certain number of feet, then the next team comes in to restore.
Like I said, it seemed to me it was very non-disruptive.
And there's residents that have definitely come from other areas where Comcast does service, and why don't we have Comcast? And they were like, well, we have a little bit for the business district area. So I think we'll certainly make some residents, maybe not all, but happy. So, okay, sounds like everybody's gonna why don't you bring that back for consent then at our next meeting?
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay. Up next is the settlement agreement with MetroNet.
Thank you. The village was approached by MetroNet and a lot of surrounding communities were as well about breaking our franchise agreement and offering us a payout. Our agreement is set to expire July 31, 2028. They're offering the village a payout of $29,350 to terminate the agreement in December of this year. I have some updated information after some discussions with neighboring communities. Give me just 1 second. Elburn, Cortland, Geneva, Montgomery, South Elgin, Hermanville, and Sandwich have already executed similar agreements. Other communities are discussing it as well. The issue is that franchise payments are only made for cable service. MetroNet wants to get out of the TV game and just provide internet. We don't get a franchise payment for internet. And they are offering to buy us out and then help customers that have internet learn how to use streaming if that's their choice. I thought it was timely to have it on the same agenda as us potentially getting Comcast, so that we could, for those residents who have and want linear cable, to be able to retain that with a new option. But this is where this agreement is at. The one idea that I've come up with and discussed a little bit with Matt and I wanted to bring to the board as well was, we are a customer of MetroNet for one of our internet connections. I was wondering, with the board's approval, to approach them to say, you've offered us an amount of money, would you offer us some type of break on our internet cost, perhaps at a higher number, because giving us internet for cheaper, it may be better for them business-wise than just paying us in cash. For budget reasons, we have to have internet anyway. So it may be able where we can recoup more money over time if that's something worth doing or not. I just want to bring that up as a potential negotiation.
Well, at least it would be a continuing operational savings instead of a one-time fee. And there could be advantages and disadvantages in taking a lump sum versus longer, like reducing cost margin longer term.
Well, and it just goes to say, you're banking on the fact that they will also continue to have internet. I don't know. I like to think they will, but.
After the recent investment that they put in putting fiber in our community and not that long ago, I would be very surprised if they walked away from internet.
What do we spend annually?
I think Matt said we're at like 600 a month, maybe. I'd have to double check the number, but it is significant for our business.
We're doubled up, aren't we? We have, I thought for services, when we went down a few years ago, MetroNet was not tied to us the way they were supposed to be, but they are today, as well as AT&T.
So
We need to have the redundancy with two.
Yes.
Minimally, we need to have, we did it at one point. Okay.
But
so-
every facility in the village is tied to MetroNet at $600 in total.
Matt said our current monthly bill, I think, is 600. Let me double check though.
Okay. So any wells that we do monitoring on or anything else like that, maybe we don't, I don't know,
Yeah, it's 600 a month for all our internet for MetroNet, 600 a month.
Oh, okay. But the point is all facilities at least, all of them, yeah.
I think that the difference is too, though, and tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm misunderstanding. So, based on the board report that's here, this is what the village has been recouping 2020 to 2021. That's what's on the television. And in 2 quarter payments this year, we've received roughly $20,000. They are 2 quarterly payments in total of $10,000 if I'm reading that right, so 5,000 each payment?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been consistently, it's been going down.
It's going down, and then they cut service, right? So yeah, we have an agreement with them that they're gonna provide service, and then we're gonna get franchise fee of 5%, but they're already trying to steer their customers and prep their customers for the fact that we want you to stream, we don't want you we don't want to service television cable. That number's already going down anyway. So this is a buyout to say, we're not gonna have it, right? So I understand and can appreciate what you're saying about paying our internet fees. I mean, if you can negotiate that higher, but at the same time, cash in hand, we might want Comcast. I mean, I don't want to just say, let's,
I think from and Chief Beck, from an IT perspective, we're gonna at least have two. So if we had one that was deeply discounted, and then we could look to Comcast, AT&T, or whoever for our second connection, I think we would be safe. We're never gonna be all eggs in one basket for a provider anyway, just because of our reliance on the internet with BSNA being in the cloud and our email and everything needing to work for us to operate. We're gonna have at least two connections, so I don't think it would, that's why I wouldn't recommend, if we only have one connection, I wouldn't recommend a long-term plan to recoup the savings, but if we can get
did you look at the other communities that are pulling to see what their buyouts are?
the numbers are similar. It had more to do with when the agreement expired than the size of the community or the amount they got in franchise payments. From the numbers that I saw, they were all close to $20,000 to $30,000. Some of them expired sooner than ours, some of them expired later. We were one of the latest ones, and one of the higher ones.
And I need to clarify, there's two internet providers that come into this building. Public Works only has one, I believe, so we're still looking at a backup for Public Works.
So it sounds like, obviously, this is what it is, they're getting out of that business. Can you bring it back with more information for the board to make a quantified decision on, obviously before the 3rd, if that's what you need for, I don't know when they're looking for a decision, but with the potential, if you were to negotiate a higher, maybe some buyout and a higher dollar amount for them to provide service.
Yeah, so I'll try to improve upon the number that they
Between
offered if I can, and also if there's an option, to get some type of credit that would outpace the amount that they've offered. I will also see if I can bring that forward. If not, I'll just bring forward the agreement to the.
Is everyone good with that? Okay, thank you. All right, up next is the Michael, the Commercial Property Enhancement Program for 214 South Main Street.
Thank you very much. Village, as you know, has a commercial property enhancement program. We've previously approved agreements with Fireside Grill, Four Seasons Development, and Rocky's Dojo. This is the 4th application that will come before you. It's for 214 South Main. The owner, who's here with us today, they're recommending 4 improvements to the property: improvements to the driveway, replacing 3 exterior doors, rebuilding the front entry roof over the front door, and removing 2 ash trees and replacing them with magnolia trees. The cost for the project, their cost is $10,378.76, which they're eligible for 50%. If their grant is approved, the Commercial Property Enhancement Review Committee met and unanimously approved a grant award of $5,189.38. When the original board report went out, it did not include the supporting documents. My apologies for that. I believe they're now on the website, and I have extra hard copies if anyone would like those, because it also includes photographs that Mr. Kuhn provided for the items that are in need of repair or replacement. I think this is another good project for our downtown. Continue to look for opportunities to enhance commercial property in our 7th Business District. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael. Does the board have any questions for Michael? Go ahead. I was going to say, with the property owner.
Does the community enhancement program have geographic boundaries?
It does. So the project, the program that was approved in 2022 says that property must be a commercial establishment located within the village. And eligible properties are located on Main Street, Cross Street, Sugar Lane, Maple, and Terry Drive.
Some of this looks like just normal maintenance.
the roof section, painting it, and, you know, replacing doors. What type of enhancements are there? So it's just,
Trustee Michaels, the way the program was set up is that there's a list of eligible improvements that the village, encouraging those improvements to be made. And all of the items that they have put in their application are eligible improvements under the program.
if you would send that to me.
I'd be happy to send that to you guys.
So I think that maybe Mr. Coon can describe the front door, photograph, 214. It looks like you are doing something very similar, like not adding a column structure that maybe hits the ground or changing the aesthetic to the building at all.
There's really not room there. There's a 4-foot sidewalk out front there, and there's a small driveway across the front. There really isn't room to bring anything out farther in front of the building. And it's probably doesn't meet the setback if I would.
So you can't do, instead of having brackets attached to the structure, you couldn't do a freestanding column?
I don't believe so. It's probably already too close to the street.
Okay. Guess I have to drive that.
I've done, I spent $12,000 on the roof last year, and before I knew about this program too, so.
Yeah. Well, the program is designed to spur enhancement in the original part of town and create give business owners the incentive to want to update their property. Very much cared about what was happening in all aspects of the village, but knowing that we were still young in certain areas, that would all be new development. And then what about our original part of town, putting some attention and care in there? Well, I can appreciate Trustee Michaels' comments about regular maintenance. I mean, this is true, there is a list of items that are encouraged for enhancement, but also with that being said, maybe there's modifications that need to be made to the program. But it's to enhance and almost change what you're doing to the business or the building versus just regular maintenance items that a normal property owner would have to undertake.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I heard.
This building's over 100 years old, and frankly, I really don't have to do anything to it. I could leave it the way it is, but I do want to continue to make some improvements. Since I bought it, I put new siding on it, new windows, new garage doors. I did a new roof last year.
When did you buy the building?
When?
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah. I almost bought it.
You beat me to it?
When my wife and I were looking at opening up a music studio, the School of Music, we were eyeballing that as an option. If you remember, the building, it was an eyesore before that.
It was covered in
It was like a
tin
metal
aluminum.
sheet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the siding alone there that you did do it was substantial.
Did new siding, new gutters, soffits, gutters, soffit fascia.
But the stores, or what operates out of there now is what? There's a couple of businesses that operate out of there?
Yes, yeah. There's actually 4 commercial units on the first floor and 2 apartments upstairs.
Okay.
And if you...
They do light industrial, tool and die or something like that?
No, it's I guess you'd say resale shop, staging, kind of estate sale. The guy runs he doesn't run an estate sale out of there, he uses it as his warehouse.
Sounds like you've done a lot to the building that.
Yes.
Prior to even this application,
Yes.
that would have probably also qualified for the enhancement program.
It would have, yeah, if I would have known about it.
Yes. With this back door, I just want to make sure because this has like metal siding on this back door. I don't know why this photo is here, because I don't see it.
Yes, that is,
Oh, this is just an updated? No,
that is one of the doors that would be replaced.
okay.
It's like two buildings.
Yes, that's the rear portion of the building. It was like a pole barn addition 40, 50 years ago.
And I kind of quite like this roof. I mean, you're replacing it, why? So that it's not wood?
Yes, with a maintenance-free exterior.
Okay. Is it still going to be lofted like that on the underside?
It's going to have more of a flat enclosed roof with some with aluminum soffit material.
And that light fixture over the door?
Yeah, that will be replaced with a more modern can light style.
And then are we going to hide the electrical?
Yes, it'll all be recessed in the
redone.
ceiling. Yep.
Okay. So this is what I want to say to the board, is we do have this program. I think that you have done an amazing job, it sounds like, with this property from when you inherited it, so we appreciate you, spending money on your business in this area. I don't want to bait and switch on this. I think that if there's something that we want to tune up within our enhancement program on driveway and that kind of thing, then we should have staff bring that back. But that is not a fault of Mr. Kuhn. This is our program, and this is as it exists, so I think we honor this enhancement, and we bring it back for further discussion to look at the details of our program. That would be my recommendation to the board.
I think if this does meet the requirements of our program, then I think the requirements of our program, but I do
Bring it back.
seriously think we need to bring it back and look at our program. and
Yeah.
What the requirements are, reevaluate that.
Agreed.
I'll send the criteria, the entire program out to everyone. There is a list, it does include a list of what is not covered, which, like, you want to paint your building, that's not covered. So we're always welcome to look at the criteria and make adjustments. Last summer, Danny Marion, our community development director, and I did a walking tour of the downtown. We literally went to every single building and looked at it, and we saw some candidates that certainly could use some enhancement. But more often than not, especially the homes that are on Main Street, were very well kept and very well tended. And so, going to keep reaching out to property owners, letting them know that, we've got a program they might want to consider.
Thank you, Michael.
I think the purpose when we voted on this was to enhance the beautification of buildings in that area. Although it's a door and some soffit changes and things, you are making it better visually from the curb, and I think that's the whole point of this. And I understand that maybe it's a little bit of a general maintenance issue, but it's kind of how grants work. I mean, if the money's there and it falls within that criteria, I'm good with it. I appreciate you taking the time to come out today and talk to us, and I also appreciate you wanting to make your property look even better, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll just have you bring it back for general business. Thank you. It'll be on our agenda next meeting. Okay, up next. Excuse me. Staff report. Scott.
My report's in your packet. I did want to note that the attorney RFQ for village attorney is out and available. It is on the notices section of our website. We've also worked with a local Illinois-based municipal attorneys group and posted on there. They have like a job RFQ board, so we posted it there as well. And so if you know anybody, please feel free to share it with them. We hope to get as many possible candidates as we can. And through that process, we have, as we discussed at the last meeting, there's going to be interviews and such set up. The interviews with the village board are tentatively scheduled for the week of January 27th. This kind of thing, especially with the holidays, takes more time than we'd love, but we do need to get through the initial round of interviews, a question and answer period with them, and review the proposals. So that's kind of the tentative time period right now. As we're moving through the process, we'll be communicating that out more often with the board. So just wanted to mention that it is out there and it's live.
Are we getting any applicants yet? any groups that are applying?
Tracy, did we get any applicants yet?
Not yet.
No, it's only been out for, I think I put it out late last week, so. It takes a minute to pull together everything we've asked for.
Thank you. Any questions, additional questions for Scott?
Have you notified the public about the Instagram account? I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, we advertised it on our Facebook and put it out. Did we advertise it anywhere else? Tracy, the Instagram?
Facebook, I think that's it. It was
So-
went out on
Trustee
Facebook
Michaels,
and
this happens a lot. Are you not on the Facebook?
I check it, I don't see it.
I've
so-
seen it. I've seen that. I've seen the community share it.
I'm just saying for the people that aren't on Facebook, we need to.
We can send it out through our email portal, and we're also definitely going to include it with, we've got a mailer coming with one of the water bills here. It's very soon. We'll make sure we add it to that and other spots as well.
I'm hoping the Instagram hits my phone a lot more frequently than Facebook.
So I was one of the first followers when we set it up, and I got it came up in my feed today. I use Instagram, not Facebook, just
I think a lot of people are going.
yeah, little pictures are better sometimes than words. But so it hit mine today when we announced something that we shared on both platforms, and it's good that we're trying to have a spread effect to see get it in front of as many people as possible. So it's nice through the Meta portal when we put something on Facebook. If it does have an associated picture, we can also put it on Instagram at the same time. So we're doing our best to catch as many eyeballs as possible. So it's out there.
Thank you. Okay. Matt is not here. Does anyone have any questions on Matt's staff report that Scott may be able to answer? If not, reach out to him directly. Danny is not here. Same thing with Danny. Any questions on her staff report? Chief?
My staff reports have been back as well, and if there's any questions, you know,
Any questions with that? Okay. Brad?
The staff report is in there. The two things I would like to add is the solar project is progressing. They were supposed to do fence today, but due to the rain, they canceled. So all the materials are on site, so I expect them to be here tomorrow. And last Monday, our public works labor started for replacement position, so.
Good. And we plan on doing a ribbon cutting for our solar field.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
It's energized, once the fence is up. Yeah, we'll be organizing that and inviting all trustees and the public out to see it.
Wonderful.
And staff is preparing for holiday in the Grove.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, but yes.
Signs are all over.
Thank you, Brad.
The wreaths are up.
It's gonna be very festive.
I will say that my neighborhood is getting excited every time we see movement on the bridge, so.
It's about to end for the winter, but yeah.
No, understood, so I can tell people, I tell people in 2025 that it's coming kind of in one piece, or being manufactured kind of as one, so.
The abutments are complete, like it's in my staff reports, they're complete, and they're working on stabilizing the banks before winter, once the weather will allow them to get in there and do that.
You just put riprap down?
I think it's probably pretty large stuff, whatever they require with our recording.
Thanks, Brad. Okay, Michael?
Yes, just three quick items. We're hoping to schedule the grand opening of the Right Path. That's the new daycare center that's going into the former Chester Dork Academy building on Jewel in the next couple of weeks. GMX's final revisions are in, so they're on the brink of getting their building permit for the new Starbucks. And tomorrow at 11 again, we're doing a check presentation for Rocky's Dojo for their commercial property enhancement program. If you're around at 11 a.m., you can stop by. We'll also be using that large ceremonial check to get a book. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael?
The new restaurant, and the
Cilantro.
When is that?
It's very soon. In fact, today there was, I think, the last thing they needed to receive. The fire department and the fire district and the village, the health department received what they needed today. So I think we're getting very close. And we'll be helping them with the grand opening as well.
Okay.
Okay. Trustee reports. Trustee Michael?
Nice event out at Rich Harvest, a week or so ago, whatever it was, so thank you for posting it. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Lindy?
Only that I believe there's going to be a Blisswoods cleanup on the Saturday the 23rd from 9 to noon.
Blisswoods, you said, I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Okay.
Blisswoods. It's not that you can park the regular Blisswoods, but I think she has parking closer to where off Kadiki Road, there's the church.
That
over
church
there.
there.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Trustee Herron?
The landscaping at New Child Center, I was going to comment, looks great. And then I also was going to ask about cilantro. Other than that, no comments.
Thank you. Trustee Bonnie?
Yeah, I spent my time to talk about some liquor license. And I have nothing to add tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Jones?
No, nothing here.
Okay. President's report. So just to echo Trustee Michaels, the success of the second EDC Brokers Reception at Rich Harvest Farms was a big success. I know there was a lot of, there was some different interest this year and some different folks that were in the room talking about our village and wanting to invest. Either they are a broker or they are a landowner or they represent someone that is interested in our village. So it's always nice to put our best foot forward with those folks and have real life conversations, in-person conversations. And it was like I said, very successful event. Holiday in the Grove is coming up, so I just want to bring awareness to everyone on this. So yes, it is hosted by the Kiwanis Sugar Grove Township. It is the December 7th pancake breakfast and December 6th tree lighting. While Kiwanis puts it out and their mission is to help the children of the community, it is really a collaborative effort with a lot of us, and the village certainly takes a large role in this by lighting that tree. So thank you, Brad, and your staff for taking that tree on. They put up the wreaths. The wreaths are up on Main Street. If you haven't seen them, the wreaths are up. And Brad is busy decking the halls with his crew. And I did have somebody ask if we could get somebody to dress as an elf the next time we're in the bucket truck, because other communities apparently dress as elves when they do.
He said it would be willing to do the Grinch.
I said he doesn't want to dress up. I know he doesn't want to dress up, but I will ask. So that's my ask. Yeah. So the Friday, the December 6th at 6 p.m. will be the tree lighting at 47 Cross Street. As long as it's not raining, we will also have a luminary walk back to the community building for cookies and hot chocolate and just fellowship there. And then on Saturday, December 7th, if you have not done so, buy your tickets for the pancake breakfast. First seating is at 8 a.m., and it does go 8 till noon. It is a wonderful opportunity for anyone with littles to see Santa. It is kind of a magical experience. I've witnessed it. It's really nice. And a lot of fun games and just a great event. So there are other things happening that day. They have the Magicals playing over at the library. I know the Methodist Church has crafts going on at the church, so it is very much a community event that day. There's other things going on in the community. I know that I saw something at the Pine Room, having like a market at the Pine Room on that Saturday, and I did see Burke Girl was doing a breakfast with Santa as well. This is very much a charitable organization for our community, and it is a really nice come together with the other taxing bodies. So hopefully you can support it and spread the word about the pancake breakfast. Also, I just wanted to touch upon the fact that I was with Chief and a gentleman from the Attorney General's office. We met at Chelsea Commons Senior Building and the Senior Living Center on Galena Boulevard to really educate folks on consumer fraud, not only the concerns that are going on just in the world today, what that looks like, but Chief was able to give some real life examples of what's happening here in Sugar Grove to those folks. So anytime you touch one person and they can touch two more, it was really, it was great. And so taking an opportunity now that he has his deputy chief to maybe use Chief to do a little more outreach in our community is really the focus. So that happened. And then what is the last thing I wanted to add? And that is it, everyone. I just want to wish everybody out there a very happy holiday and happy Thanksgiving next week. Hopefully you're all safe travels to wherever you may be going. for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
First out of trustee Harris, the second out of trustee Showman. Roll call, please, Maddie.
Trustee Aaron.
Aye.
Trustee Showman.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee White. Oh, Trustee Lundy. Aye. Trustee Bonnie.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries 5-0. Good night, everyone.